This conference will now be recorded.
I'll make a motion to approve the February 17th.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Accounts payable, Durham.
Okay. Let's see. So if you look at 77113, those are those tasers that we bought, that we approved. And then the last one, 77143, is the 2022 dues for the fire board, which we also approved. Everything else is pretty standard. Anyone have any questions about it? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $104 or $104. That would be great. $104,603.04.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Thanks, Sarah. Public comments. Individuals may address the city council about any item of concern. Speakers must state their name and limit the remarks to 5 minutes. Any public comments? I will close that portion. We will jump to 8A, Resolution 2022-07, Resolution reestablishing precincts and polling places for 2022. Brian.
Yes, 2022 is a redistricting year, so they moved some of the lines around. Nothing changed here in Zumbrota, but we have to do the resolution to reestablish our 2 precincts. Again, nothing changed, it's just reaffirming what we've been doing.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 20, it says 2012-07, so we might need to
Sorry.
change that,
Yes,
2022-07.
Can tell where I got this one from, 2012. 10 years ago.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Thanks, Brian. 8B, capital improvement planning presentation. We have Jessica here from Ellers to give us a little presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. If I stand, will I still be close enough to the mic?
Maybe.
I guess we'll just look around. Thanks for having me this evening, and would it be possible for you to slide back a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry. As long as we have a break anyway, can I have your last name?
Cook, C-O-O-K.
Thank you.
So I'm with Ellers, and I've had the pleasure of working on the sewer utility rate study, the water rate study, and some bond issuances with the city of Zumbrota. And I really appreciate the opportunity this evening to talk to you about capital improvement planning, which we do a lot of as a firm. So I have my faithful trustee driver here, if you want to go to the next slide. First, I'll keep this brief because I hear you've been promised a short meeting this evening. So I'll tell you a little bit about our firm that I know we've worked together, but you may not know all the things that we do. And then I'll tell you a little bit about our proposal and take any questions that you have. So our firm was established over 65 years ago. It's employee owned. And we have a mission where our clients, your constituents, and your community is at the center of everything we do. And then, so we have this graphic that puts that at the center. And then our services that we provide are around that, supporting your community. And the one thing I want to point out on this slide is that we've done over 100 long-term financial plans, capital improvement type planning in the last 5 years. So we have considerable experience in this area. Next slide, please. So again, this is just reemphasizing. If you can see in the center circle, we again say clients, constituents, and communities. And the point is that while we provide all of these services, we work as a team so that you have an integrated one-stop shop experience. And the advantage of working with Ellers on the capital improvement funding is because we have been your financial advisor. We are aware of your debt situation. We're aware of your utility situation. We're aware of the economic development initiatives that you have going on, that you need a swimming pool, for example, or the constituents would like to have a swimming pool. And so we can bring all of that to the table and integrate all of those facets and approach this with your whole financial well-being in mind. And that's how we do our work. So some of the things we've done together include setting up a housing TIF district and an economic development district. We've done tax abatement projects together. We've provided general advice on economic development in the industrial park and some housing and redevelopment initiatives. We've been really active with the comings and goings of Dairy Concepts and how that's going to impact the sewer utility and keeping that up to date so that you're sure you have enough sewer revenues. You haven't been very active in the debt market until recently. In 2021, you funded Jefferson Drive, I believe, was the project. And so we assisted with that bond issue. And then we're your paying agent for outstanding debt. And again, we strive to make all of that integrated and seamless so you don't have to coordinate us, we coordinate us. So for this project, thanks. I wanted to show you some examples of where else we've done capital improvement funding planning. And this is just a smattering of the cities that we've worked with recently, including Hermantown, Pine City, North Branch, Northfield. So we've been all over the state and seen all different kinds of capital needs and funding situations. What we're proposing for working on this project is a team of the three of us. Rebecca Kurtz is your lead municipal advisor. She handles your economic development and debt issuance. I'm the head of our financial planning group. And as I mentioned, we're an employee-owned company, so I'm also the chair of the board of our company. And then Christina Norquist would be the analyst involved, and she's done a lot of work on the utilities and is really skilled. She's been with Ellers over 10 years. Rebecca and I have been there 20, so we are dating ourselves, but we bring a lot of experience. So that's covering the firm. What I wanted to get into now was a little bit about our proposal and why we geared it the way we did. So when you do a capital improvement plan, the first part is to list the projects that need to be done in the community. And that's usually an engineering component. And we understand that Bill Engerman has done a lot of that work already. And the next step is to assign a funding source to that. So often when you see capital improvement plans, and there's a whole software called Planet that's often used to develop those. They'll have the capital project listed, and then they'll have the funding source listed. And then you can slice it and dice it by funding source, by project type, however you like. That's a great first step. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't compare that funding source with what Kim and Brian keep track of about whether the money's really there. So I've seen capital improvement plans that have a street project in it, and they say, well, 400,000 is going to come from stormwater, and the stormwater fund generates $50,000 a year. Well, that's not going to work. And it's just the engineering people saying, well, $400,000 of the project is related to stormwater, so stormwater is going to pay for it, not bringing in the financial aspect of it. So what our plan will do is coordinate all those things. So in addition to having the list of the capital projects and the funding source, you're going to have a financial plan for 10 years for each governmental fund that is like a long-term budget for that fund. And we'll do every fund that has some sort of property tax support. So the goal will be that you can say, if we do, let's say the pool, if we do the pool project, how are we going to finance that or pay cash for it? Where's that going to come from? And if we finance it, how is it going to be paid back? And ultimately, if that's through a tax abatement, for example, what's the impact on the taxpayers? And we'll show you a median valued home, and each year for 10 years, what their tax impact is going to be. We can do that for the swimming pool, but more importantly, we'll do that for everything that's going on in the city. So your operating, your general fund, your operating budget, if you need to add another public safety person, that would be modeled in there. If you have refurbishments to City Hall, that would go in there. No, we start with the whole kitchen sink, everything that's a priority. And we say, is this affordable? And that's the policy question, right? Is it affordable to your taxpayers and your ratepayers if we do the utility side of it? And then if you determine that that's resulting in too high a tax impact, then we can look at a combination of other revenue sources or scaling back projects. And we can move the projects around. We can play what if. We take all your feedback, we put it back in the plan, and we come back to you with a plan that meets the affordability parameters that you've set out and said, this is what you can afford to do. And with this tool that's customized for you, you can do it two ways. You can say, if taxes go up $10 a year on a median valued home, what can we afford to do? How much can we afford to do in projects? Or you can reverse it and say, here are the projects we want to do. What's the tax impact on that median valued home? So it's a really powerful tool that not only organizes all of your capital projects, but gives you a plan about how to pay for them the next 10 years in a way that's acceptable to the community and to you as policymakers. Now, I think I really deviated from my slide, but I wanted to give you some of that approach because I think it's a little unique. Any questions at this point?
Dumbing it down for us, it's wonderful.
No, I'm not, actually. Not at all.
No, it's good.
So,
I totally understand what you're going to do, so that's good.
So one of the things I wanted to emphasize looking at my slide here is the fact that this is a process. This is a facilitated discussion with you. Excuse me. This is taking your policies and your priorities and incorporating them into a plan to achieve your goals. So this isn't something that it will just be a report and sit on a shelf, but if you want, you can have the Excel model and staff, Kim is giving me dagger looks now, staff can update it yourselves or you can ask us to do it. That would really be your option, but it's your tool. So on this slide, just a little bit more detail of all the things that get incorporated into the model. We have the policies, the capital improvement plans. We don't forget about equipment, your police cars, your computers, a fire truck, a street sweeper, whatever it is that you might need. If you're going to be going back into the bond market, we take a look at what the impact is going to be on your bond rating by doing these planned improvements and the planned debt issuance. We model in growth. I know that you're experiencing some growth in the community, and so as the tax base grows, that gives you more resources. If you have a TIF district that expires, we model that in. So this is very comprehensive. As I mentioned, operating expenses, staffing, and if there's other revenue sources you're not tapping into and you want to consider, like franchise fees. Some communities don't have a stormwater utility. I think you do already, but I don't remember, I'm sorry. Those are other resources we can look at. Or going after the surplus at the state legislature would be another option. So, thank you. So what we do is, as I mentioned, is we put the model together. We start our number crunching. Well, first of all, we have a kickoff meeting with staff. They tell us what your priorities are. We go back to the office and we put our model together. We end up, as I mentioned, with a cash flow for each fund. And we bring that to you and help you interpret that so that you can make decisions that are well-informed, that are easy to explain to people who may stop you in the grocery store and say, when are we getting this? Or how much is that going to cost us? Or how's it going to affect me? This is the tool to help you do that. And lastly, this is just another graphic from our marketing folks that lets you know that we work collaboratively. I talked about us working collaboratively together as an Ellers team, but we like to work collaboratively with you as a client. So we listen, we collaborate, we reflect, and most of all, we hope that we deliver. We deliver value, something that's going to be really useful to you. So that's all of my formal presentation. As I said, I'm happy to take questions, and I'm really grateful to be considered for this project. I think it would be a lot of fun because I'm a nerd, you know.
Perfect. Thanks, Jessica. Anybody have questions for Jessica?
Thank you so much.
Made it very easy to understand, and it's good.
I just have one question if I could. Our strategic plan is about, well, it's getting old. It was done in 2011 was the last update that I can find. Something like this, is it better in your experience to have an updated strategic plan first, or would this, as I was listening to you, I was thinking that this will be a good exercise leading into an updated strategic plan because we're gonna, as a staff, and we're all gonna have to think about what projects that we're going to be doing or wanting to do, and then they can incorporate that into an updated strategic plan after. I just want to make sure we're not getting the cart ahead of the horse doing this plan before an updated strategic plan.
That's an excellent question, and I think you can do it either way. You know, your strategic planning, by the very nature, is strategic. So you're thinking about the quality of your neighborhoods, your business attraction, other kinds of scope of services you want to provide residents and businesses. That can set the stage for doing this kind of financial planning. So it can work that way, and then as the projects come out, you can see how they fit into the strategic plan.
Sure.
Conversely, I think you're right that if you take your priority projects and we figure out which of those you can afford to pay for, as you define affordability, and come up with a long-term fiscal plan to fund those capital projects, that can inform you how you can support those larger initiatives. Because sometimes visioning happens absent some of the practical realities of living in a fiscally constrained environment, which we all live. How is that for polite?
Thank you.
I'll have one question too, Jessica. Based on your guys working on our rate studies, and I think you've done an excellent job, because I think the dairy is always such a big player, and so it's got to be a lot of work on just on getting the rates, but based on cost of service, how do we arrive at the rates based on the cost of service for that? You know, so the cost of, yeah, so the cost of service plays into that. And could you just explain a little bit of the cost of service?
Sure. Well, first of all, let me be clear to distinguish that what we're proposing
Right.
tonight is not a cost of service study. What a cost of service study is a methodology that is recommended by the American Water Works Association and is required in your ordinance. Should I say anything over again? Go ahead. Okay. It's required in your ordinance for setting sewer rates. And that methodology is designed to take the cost of all of your assets and allocate them to the different customer classes. So Dairy Concepts is putting unusual, they have high strength discharge. So they're putting more of a load on the the sewer treatment plant than a domestic user, or user discharging at what we call domestic strength. So therefore, more of the cost of the sewer treatment plant is allocated to Dairy Concepts. So it's a fair and equitable way of slicing and dicing all of your costs and farming them out to the people and the users of the system that are responsible for putting those costs on the system.
That's perfect. And
Okay.
again, I know that's off subject, but it is brought up in the proposal too. But I think you guys do a really good job on that, on our water and sewer rates and working through that. Because I think that's got to be just an awful lot of work and time to go through that, so.
It is, thank you. So in the proposal, we have as an optional component of that, doing the water, updating, so the sewer rate study has been updated recently, and that would be pretty easy to tweak by putting in some additional capital for street reconstruction projects, for example. The water rate study, we haven't done since, I think, 2015. So that would need a pretty thorough update. And we weren't actually we weren't recommending the cost of service methodology on the water rate side because it's more expensive, frankly. It's more labor intensive for us and more expensive therefore for you. So we were recommending on the water side a cash flow methodology where we basically say you should pay for your proportion of the water that you use. So it's a little more straightforward than a cost of service. It does have some allocation based on consumption, but it doesn't go through all your detailed assets and slice and dice them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
All right.
Great presentation.
Thank you. And thanks for the technical assistance.
Yes, thank you, Miranda. We still have Dylan up there?
Yep, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
You want to go to 8C, Dylan, approval of EDA board nominees?
Yeah, I'm doing a mic check. Can you hear me okay?
Will now be recorded.
Hello, hello.
All right.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Thank you,
But we need a
Jessica.
minute on our end.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say I can hear echoing.
Are we back?
Okay, I think we're good.
Good to go?
Yep.
All right, so in the past 2 months, the EDA has sought to fill its 2 vacancies, as some of you know. And in total, we had 3 applications received over these past couple months. On February 16th, the EDA unanimously voted to recommend Dave Dolan and Terry Johnson. Dave is an operations administrator at Mayo Clinic, and he's a former city council member. He's been a Zumbrota resident for the past 26 years. And just to touch on his application, he described his interest in serving the EDA by saying that he's firmly committed to the city's vibrant growth and sustainability. Terry is the plant manager at DFA, and he's been a Zumbrota resident for the past 2 years. The EDA was fond of connecting the city and the city's initiatives with a representative from our city's largest employer. And Terry, just to touch on his application, he described his interest by saying that he wants the opportunity to be in tune with some of our city's economic development projects and serve the future development of the city. So the EDA is looking to recommend approval of Dave Dolan and Terry Johnson to fill its 2 vacancies.
Any questions for Dylan on the 2 new candidates for EDA?
I'd make a motion to approve those nominees.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Thanks, Dylan. 8D, sign replacement quotes. Brian.
Yes, I was finally able to come up with 2 quotes to replace that sign out there. Had one for the longest time, and we're searching for another one, and I received a call from one of our local sign people, Paul Klankowski, PNK Graphics here in town. And does he? Yep, and he inquired about it. Heard about it at the barber shop, so you know how that works in a small town. So I didn't even know about him. And he provided the quote for $2,975. And that gives a couple of different options of how he would do it. One of them's a panel similar to what we had. He was going to try and match what was done before. And then vinyl lettering on there. And the other option would be the vinyl printed film. Either way, I talked to him a little bit about doing something a little stronger than what we had before. So the rivets, they were just riveted before and they tore right through once the wind hit it. And so he's talking about a little bigger washers and some methods like that, possibly a heavier backing. But his summary is in here. We also had another quote from Fast Signs out of Rochester. And again, similar construction. They both have the 3mm material, which is the metal. That quote is $6,833.20. So as a staff, we're going to recommend going with our PNK Graphics company, design company, for $2,097. Or excuse me, $2,975. And he said he can start on it just as soon as we give him the go-ahead.
Any questions for Brian on the bid? Just need approval to go ahead with the PNK bid.
I'll make that motion to approve, to go with PNK.
Second.
Any further discussions? All in favor? Opposed? Passes 4-0-0. Thanks, Brian. Reports, Brian.
Yes, I just want to bring the council up to speed on the campground expansion. A few meetings ago, you authorized me to proceed with applying for the grant. We've had 2 public meetings so far and a third one coming up. We've made some adjustments along the way. Went from 20 campsites down to 13, moved them farther away from the trail and the homes. We are 50 feet from the trail, 135 feet from the closest lot line now. We have another public meeting on Monday the 7th at 6 p.m., regular park board meeting. We have received 10 emails in opposition to the campground expansion, mostly from the neighbors. And a 1 phone call and that person said that there was never supposed to have been a campground there. It's never been a campground. So Again, we have minutes back to 1960 saying that it was a campground, so. But I just want council to be aware that, we have the 10 emails so far in opposition. I want you all to be aware that there is some opposition out there. We haven't gotten emails in favor of it because we haven't solicited emails in favor of it. I have spoke to a lot of people around town. I think we all have, staff has, and everybody we talk to pretty much is in favor of it. The person opposed went around town and handed out slips of paper asking for people to email opposition. And so we don't have any email. Again, we don't have any emails for it because we didn't solicit them. Opposition did solicit them. So anyway, so I don't have a comparison to say I've got, more emails for it or, but that's not how we were going to manage that. We posted it in the paper for 3 months now, before every meeting, right, Miranda? And we pushed it out on our social media sites and website many times. There's been ample opportunity for all of the public to attend. Information's been out there. And we'll continue to listen. We're looking forward to the meeting and comments that we'll receive there. We anticipate there's gonna be a few more people there, so I've suggested that we run it like a council meeting and allow, we decide on 3 minutes per comment. Just so it doesn't get to be, the last one was kind of everybody talking over each other. We don't want that. We want to be able to hear everything. And again, Park Board is open to continuing to make adjustments to the proposal, as we get more comments. We've had some good comments about maybe a living fence, some shrubbery along the property line to shield some of the campground from some of the closer owners who don't want to see the campers. Things like that are great suggestions. So anyway, that's kind of the rundown of the campground expansion. Just understand that there is some opposition out there. And we'll talk about that more at the Park Board meeting. Sanitary District, we are going to be having a meeting here on Friday, March 11th with Senator Goggin and the Prairie Island community to discuss the sanitary district effort and how the Prairie Island community could benefit from that, if they choose to be part of it with us. Senator Jasinski is going to also join virtually for that. It'll be our legislative group with the district that'll meet with them. Bill Engerman, David Freeze, Mayor of Pine Island, and I will participate in a House Industrial Ed Committee hearing in the morning on Wednesday, March 9th. Bill and David are going to do most of the speaking. I'm kind of there for a backup in case one of them can't make it. But we don't know a whole lot about it yet. Some of these committees run their hearings a little differently than others. One person in Bill's company did a hearing last week, and that was one where they didn't have a lot of time to present. They were just introduced and then talked. They couldn't share any screens or any graphics or anything. So we'll feel our way through it. We'll get some more information and do our best to get the information out there to the House Committee. I have set up the working group for Terry Driscoll property, the driveway questions that he had. And that's Bob, Todd Nye, Mike Olson, and Bob Prigge. And we're going to meet on Tuesday, March 4th. I think 4 o'clock before the planning and zoning meeting, somewhere in there. Oh, not the 4th. We're already past that, aren't we?
It's the 8th.
8th. Little mistakes. So. Tuesday, reminder, we have a work session, 5 o'clock on the 17th before the council meeting to discuss office staffing and office hours. We're going to be doing sergeant interviews. Oh, I'm going to steal your report here, Chief. We're going to be interviewing 3 sergeant candidates on Thursday, March 10th. And an update on the American Rescue Plan Act dollars. With the new guidance allowing the standard allowance, we want to proceed that way. Use that standard allowance, which allows the dollars to be used for any governmental spending. As a staff, we really think we can make the most impact in the community by using these dollars in areas that will have a positive impact on the levy. You know, we've got some things that we were going to have to raise the levy for, catch up on capital equipment plans, things like that. You know, we would propose to use dollars in that manner so we don't have to raise a levy, which is going to be a benefit to the entire community. But we will bring forward proposals to the council as a staff as we put them together and get plans in place. So the committee will no longer be meeting, you know, with the, it's got to be all government spending. So we're gonna proceed that way. That's all I had. Is that enough?
Sounds good. Thanks, Brian. Chief?
Nothing to add.
Matt? Kim?
Nothing to add.
James? Mike? I have nothing. Sarah? Chris? Bob? Nope. Dylan? Sorry, I forgot you were still there.
No, nothing to report, besides that I'm in favor of the campground.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dylan. Meeting's adjourned.
What about Miranda?
Oh, you forgot him.
Yeah. I knew that's what I was gonna get. So I skipped right over you.
Nothing to make me. That's funny.